As you can see on the chart there, it's a live chart, and we're not going to do any trading while we're doing the teaching, but I do have some open trades open. I might have to go there. I've got Fred just keeps buying stuff today. And so we'll work on that. A couple of things, housekeeping. Anybody that has not done a bio on the Max Group 7 needs to do that immediately after this training is over. I'd like a real name. I can't talk to people who have name like Cheesehead7 or something like that, because I won't know who you are. I want a name like Bob Smith or Bill Jones or whatever. If you don't want to use your real name, make one up. I would prefer your real name, because it's going to be with you for a long time, because of our graduate group that has a couple of hundred people in it, where people post charts and trading ideas and things like that that go along and are compatible with the basic Max. What you see on the screen is the basic Max, and the key word is patience. We don't trade things unless they have a perfect setup, and by perfect I mean everything's got to fall into place. We call them tumblers, because trading is like opening a lock, and it takes a key, and the key turns the tumblers. And so there are things that make the Max work different than other trading systems. I won't say it's the best one out there, because obviously I haven't seen them all. But we don't use anything much that is much different than what you can find free on the internet as far as indicators. We do have some proprietary additions that we've made to certain indicators that have been developed over the years. But I think you'll see that we use things in a very unique manner. And the people, there are doubting Thomases all over the internet about the number of pips we make. One of our students, our top guy, had a trade this morning in less than an hour for 780 pips. So we don't stretch the truth. What we do is try to stretch your mind that will enable you to think 100 pips or 500 pips in a trade, because it is possible. There are people out there that would kill for 10 pips a day, and people sell those systems, and what they're doing is cheating people. So we try to give you your money's worth over a period of 8 hours, 7 different training sessions. So please listen carefully. Watch the videos 2 or 3 times to make sure you get it. The Max is nothing but a concept. A concept is the most difficult thing to teach, even though it might be simple. It's not complicated, but it's not easy. If it were easy, then everybody would be doing what I tend to have invented and improved. And a lot of the materials that I've put together have come from other traders and their ideas, and I have improved on them to where they actually work, at least for me and our students. So I want you to do your bio. That's very important. That's part of the discipline of this training. And trading requires a lot of discipline, and if you don't have enough discipline to do the things I ask you to do, then you shouldn't be here in the training. Discipline and patience are the 2 keys to what we do here. We don't trade the news. We do our level best to avoid the news. We do our best to take greed out of the greed and emotion out of the trading game. Greed will kill you. Mother Nature does not like greedy people. And we use a lot of references to Mother Nature, because that's the karma or whatever that's out there in the world. And Mother Nature is our director of this training. And whatever higher power you believe in, we like to call her Mother Nature as far as the Max. And when you make mistakes, Mother Nature swacks your hands with a ruler. And if you do good, she rewards you with pippies. So she's a very, very generous idol to have. So she's not the only one out there, but Mother Nature has been a lot of help to us in our trainings. So greed, envy, and all the 7 deadly sins we try to avoid here. We like to take what Mother Nature is willing to give us. If we're smart, she gives us a lot. If we're dumb, she takes away from what she's given us already. So she can be very generous when you do the right thing. And our job is to convey her message to you, what is the right thing. And we have a lot of people that are making lots of pips because we're teaching them to do the right thing. As you can see on the chart here, these are 3 moving averages. There's no offset here just for this training. We usually have an offset. This is the red line is an 89 period exponential moving average with an offset of 8 normally. So we'll put the offset on there just for this training. It really doesn't matter much, but sometimes it does, and later in your trading it will. The blue line, the red and blue lines are what we call the balance lines. Those are places where prices tend to accumulate around and bounce off of, and they've turned into support and resistance lines. The yellow line, the gold line, is what we call, that's where the gold is, because that's where everything starts. And we call that the momentum line. MAX stands for, you want to write this down, momentum, M-O, the momentum line there. The acceleration through what we call scale ends, and X for exit, MAX. That's all there is to trading. You get in at the right time, you manage the trade, and then you exit the trade at the appropriate time. We're going to teach you one of the flaws of all the gurus out there that I've seen. They don't really ever teach you a way to get out. Before the trading's over, we're going to teach you 8 different ways to exit a trade and to keep the money that you've made during the trade. A lot of traders give up anywhere from 10 to 30% of what they made on a nice trade because they don't know when the heck to get out. Contrary to popular opinion of what you might have heard on some other groups, I don't abuse people, but I liken the way I teach to teaching boxing. And I'm going to suppose that you and I are in the boxing ring, and I'm the expert, and you're the student, and I see a weakness in what you're doing, and I knock hell out of you and knock you down on your butt. And you say, well, what'd you do that for? And I said, well, people say I abuse people, but that's not why I did it. I did it so that you will know what to do when you're in the ring and your guy sees this weakness, because he's not going to apologize. I don't mean to be abrupt or abusive with people. It's just sometimes we have a limited amount of time together, and I sometimes am rather abrupt. And if you make a dumb mistake, and a dumb mistake is one that you've made over 3 times, and a lot of folks do that. I just graded a fellow's paper a while ago, and he made a trade this morning, and he lost money on it. And I said, well, you made the basic 3 mistakes. Now, the next trade right behind it, he made a whole bunch of pips on, so we do have losers. And without trading, anybody tells me they don't have losers, I've got to look, askance at. So anyway, we're ready to go here. This is the 21 exponential moving average, offset 3. This is the 55 period EMA, exponential moving average, offset 5. And this is the, and the red line is the 89 EMA, offset 8. These 2 are called balance lines. We used to use the red line as home base, but home base is a little different now, so we'll keep the lines on the chart here because we do use all of the lines in spotting trades. So a max entry, when price crosses above all 3 lines there, the first bar that crosses and closes over that line is called a setup bar. That's the first bar that closes above all of the spaghetti, what right here you might see. Now the next bar that goes above that line is what we call the entry bar. Now the first bar that crossed above that line is that blue bar, the long blue bar right there. If you need me to scooch this up a bit, I will. I forgot that. Okay. Now, so the setup bar is this line, this bar, because that's the first bar that closed across all 3. And the entry bar would be that blue bar because that blue bar is the first bar that closes higher or goes higher than that bar. You should wait until the bar closes before you make a decision. Sometimes I don't wait, but I'm experienced. A lot of my guys don't. But the rule is you wait until this bar closes, and then you would enter the trade at a point which is equal to the higher close of that bar. So your entry now, or better, you can enter better, your actual entry, since this bar went down, your entry could be at the high of this bar. As soon as that bar turns blue, you would enter the trade right there at the top of that bar, and I will mark that. And if you have to listen to the video 5 or 6 times, it'll become clear. But your entry could be any place above the high of this bar, or the high of this short bar, right there. So your entry would be right there. It's a very calculated entry. It will keep you out of trouble because it keeps you from entering as soon as this bar crosses, because there's a lot of stuff going on right there. That's 5, 6, that's 30 minutes worth of trading before you'd actually enter the trade. And then you trade, you stay in the trade, and we exit. Now, we enter at this point with 2 units. The max is 2 units. They can be penny units, they can be 10-cent units, they can be dollar units, or they can be $10 pips. 2 times 10 or 2 times 1 or 2 times 10 cents or 2 times a penny. Each unit is worth 2 pips, whether they're penny pips or whatever. Then let's assume that you decided, well, I've done real good on this, let's get out. So you would exit, hopefully some here. Now we have things to tell you when to exit. I'm not going to go over those right now. I want you to get what the basic setup is. So in this small trade right here, you would make somewhere between 195 and 100 pips. Nothing complicated about that. But you have to know when to enter to keep this from going, and oftentimes you will even enter here and it will still go back over this way. So you have to set a stop to protect your fortune, and your stop would be somewhere down here, and we will measure this. Our stops normally run 25 to 30 pips, so this stop is 50 some odd pips, but it doesn't need to be that far away. But it doesn't matter. Of course, you can see you would never get stopped out, so you could actually put it way up here, but you don't want to do that. What you want to do is place your stop below this conglomeration of stuff over here that was against you. Whoops. So your stop by moving it up there. Why can't I move that thing? I don't know why. Okay, anyway, I'll move one a little bit at a time. So your stop would be somewhere between this mess right there and this mess down here. And I prefer the further away, just to protect yourself, because we rarely get stopped out, but everybody, things often go the other way. As a matter of fact, when I first started trading, I think every trade I made, it just started going the other way. Then I got smart and started going against what I thought. And then it still went the right way. So sometimes there isn't any way you can help it, but you're going to have a few. Now let's repeat all this. This is your setup bar, the first bar to cross the line. This is actually the momentum line, but if you're going up like this is showing here, your red line becomes your balance line becomes your trading. So your setup bar is that. Then your next bar that goes above that would be this blue bar here. So when it closes, then you wait down. So this next bar would be your actual trading bar, because it's a better entry than a bar that went higher than that. So it just happens that this is a better entry. We call that a little ledge. So there would be your entry. Your exit would be somewhere along in here, and there will be some scale ins here. There will be at least one scale in on this, but that's not the purpose of what we're doing at this point. So now that you've got all that straight, let's go on up here And watch this. Now let's find a place where it starts going down and it goes down below that. Let's go back here and find another better. Here's a better setup. Okay, here's a short trade. Now the first bar to cross below all of this stuff here actually is right there. But what protects us from that, entering way back there, although it wouldn't hurt, is this red bar closes below the red line. This is coming out of a period of consolidation. I don't know why this thing just doesn't want to take my... Then the next bar is still didn't close below that bar. The next bar went up and up and up and up and up, so now you got to start again over here. This is the low bar, the bar that closed below the red line, all three lines. We call this spaghetti, and actually the yellow line is the momentum, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. So here, then you would have this bar and then this bar. So your entry bar on this particular trade would be at the close of this bar right here. Well, that thing sure wants to move fast today. So your close would be below the close of that bar, or below the close there. Well, your entry would be right there. Well, you can see immediately that it went against you, didn't it? So, still you're in the trade, but if you set your stop properly and got your stop up here, say I would look at this bar back here for the height of my stop. And since we were in the trade about right, let's see, right there. Yeah, right there. 70 pips. Okay, now you're not in any danger of getting stopped out, but if it goes against you, you want to make sure. So you'd lose 2 times 70 or 140 pips in this situation. But the minute, now this goes back up, and now you have a perfect re-entry point, but you don't want to. You see that little edge, and price is dropping through the momentum line. Now there is your perfect trade. When it does this, and price drops through the momentum line there. So you actually would have a re-entry somewhere probably about right there on the second bar when price goes below that mess right there. Now there's an indicator that we used to tell you to help you enter and re-enter, and I'm going to add that to the chart right now. And it's a regular MACD, but it's got some funny settings on it. I'll send those to you. I'll send the indicator to you now. So let's take a look here. Was this a proper place to enter? Because it's going down right there. But this is the last part of it. So here is actually was your best entry place right there. I'm going to draw a vertical line right there on below the low of that bar was your best entry place. Then you had a possible scale in here right there. Now the next scale in would be, and let me figure this out right there. Well, I didn't get the line movement. As at the low of that bar, or the high, the open of the next bar, assuming it's still red. So that tells you to scale in. And you've got another scale in coming over here. When this bar, when the MACD turns to red again, right there. So you'd have a scale in right here, at that doji bar. And then you'd have another scale in down here, assuming you get the setup right, when that bar there turns red. So you'd have a scale in there. Now, when this starts turning against you, we're going to probably get out on about the third blue bar. We do have indicators to help us get out of that trade. Actually, when this turns blue, that's something we look at. And then you have 3 up. We're going to look to get out. But let's suppose we get out. So you got a little loser right there. The last one on your system and your scale ins is probably going to be a loser. But now let's count the pips here. You entered the trade Sabio, are you there? If you got a pencil? Can the guys hear? Who's in the chat room? Everybody? Well, let's see. Eusebio, yeah, you're there. If you got a pencil, Eusebio, count the pips here, okay? All right. So let's count the pips in this little old simple trade. Let's suppose that this one, just for all practical, let's suppose this was a loser and you lost 100 pips. So I want to make sure you understand that you will have losers, and it's all right to show. But let's suppose now that your entry was right there on your entry. So you got 2 units that you would have exited. You had 125 pips twice on 2 units. And then on your scale in, you had 116 pips twice. And on your next scale in, you had 33 pips twice. And on your next scale in, you had about 5 to 7 pips twice. And on the next one, where you entered there, you had about 19 pips loser twice, minus 38 there. Add those up. What on earth is wrong here? Where are we? 524 minus the 100 you lost on the first one. Is anybody here making anything complicated about this? The difficulty is spotting the place to do it. And this is one reason we're very careful, and I usually tighten up my stops if there's any doubt about what's going on here when I'm coming out of that thing, because it's going to do this. You're going to have that normal head fake right there, then you got another bounce, and then you have your trade coming. Some people would have exited right there, and some people would exit right here, but it's getting near that yellow line, so that was a good place to exit. So there's a Mo short, and it only made you 400 pips, and it took us all of, even assuming that we got in, got in right there, it took us all of 40 bars, which is an hour and 20 minutes. You made 400 pips. And that's probably more than most people make in a month. But we do this every day. Now let's go back. First of all, is there any questions on this right here? Might be answered in the seminar anyway. What? Sure. Can we ask questions? Sure. Is there a rule for the entry bar? Yes. I told you twice. The entry bar must go above or below the setup bar. This was the setup bar right here. The entry bar would have been right there because it went lower than this bar. So there was your first entry bar. Now what do you see down here? You see all red, so that's a sign. And that's where we would have entered that trade. And if you set your stop too tight, well, I don't know what's wrong with this stuff. If you set your stop too tight, you'd get stopped out. But this is on the pound yen, so your stops have to be a little higher on this. But your stop would have needed to be at least 50 pips right there to keep from being stopped out. So you lose 100 pips if it goes bad. But then turning right around, and you must take these setups. You must take them. Sure enough, you'll miss one over here, and it'll turn against you, and then you'll be 3 bars down into it, and you'll miss 150 pips going south when you should have been in the trade. How tight is too tight? Well, 50 on the pound yen, I would say 50 minimum. But in other words, right here is the place for your stop. I marked it. I don't count the pips. I count where it should be. Now, if you set it down here too tight, any place along in here would have gotten this one stopped out. So you've got to set your bar at least above the range high back over here, which actually, if you're smart, above the close of that bar there, and that would be the minimum for your stop right there, which would be 44 pips, the absolute minimum. Actually, it would probably be closer to 50, which means if you lose 2 units, you lost 100 pips. Now that's on the pound yen. On the euro dollar, it could be, they'll range anywhere from 35 to 50 pips stops. So we don't have huge stops because we rarely get into a situation, except when we're entering the trade at first. If you'll see this area here, see, this was not an entry because this bar closed below that bar, the setup bar, but we didn't get an entry bar on it because it went back up into the spaghetti, and it often does this. It does that revolving around the balance lines and the momentum lines. You see, this actually wouldn't have been an entry because it turned right around, went back up before it could go below that. So, and we're looking for other direction. Those really aren't cumulative pips. Vincent, don't argue with me. I'm telling you how we count pips. I've had this argument over the last few years about counting pips, and you made 524 pips, any way you want to count it. Okay. They are cumulative because that's all one trade, really. You had a trade and 4 scale ends, an entry and 4 scale ends. Okay. All the time of day is going to vary depending on what you want to trade. If you're smart, you want to start trading the British Open, which is 2 o'clock my time, Central Time. I don't know what it is your time, but that's where all the action is. The first 3 hours of the British Open is the best time to trade. That's when Eusebio trades. So, Vincent, I didn't mean to be hard on you, but don't make comments like that unless you're ready to back them up. I don't care how other people count their pips. We count the money is what we're counting. You had 524 units. Okay. Now let's go back. Now see, this is coming in. Let's go back down here. Now I'm going to add one more Mother Nature's home to the chart now. This is what we call home base. The real home base, where much Mother Nature hangs around. Well, if I can only find the moving average. And we're going to color it aqua, so it'll be real easy to spot. It's going to be exponential, and this one is going to be median price, high-low divided by 2, and it's going to be 233, and it's going to have a shift of 8. 8. Okay. But the shift in it, some people use it and some don't. This is just what you want to do. Now to that, we're going to add 2 other lines. We're going to add a high and a low of that same thing. This one is going to be on the high, and this one's going to be on the low of that same 233. We call this home base. Mother Nature's home. Now, you see, we like to trade up when this line is going up, and if you're smart, you'll confine your trading to up while this line is at that slant. This is something else. I didn't have it on there on the chart, but this is how it works, and I'll show you in a minute. So, now see, when chart hits home base, look how the chart paused and hung around home base right there. And you'll find that that's what it does. Now, when it went through home base, we like to trade them down here when it's going to home base, but I usually wait in the beginning till you learn how to spot a momentum entry, is wait until price crosses home base. And then at about the same time, the momentum line will cross home base. And then you've got all of this to look forward to. And we don't capture all of a move. We'll capture somewhere between 70 and 80% of all of those big moves. Now let's back up here, and we'll go to a real momentum trade. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Now, we're above home base. Price has come through all this spaghetti here. And Price, this is your setup. This is your, well, here, actually, you got a setup bar right there, but I like to wait when he gets like this till the yellow line shows itself above the two balance lines. So this would be your setup bar right here. And then the next bar is your entry bar. So you would enter right there on the open of that bar if it goes higher than the entry bar. Now, you see this nice angle and separation here. I don't know whether you're familiar with those terms, but this is, Bill Williams calls it in his Trading Chaos, the alligator opening its mouth from being asleep back here, although we use totally different settings than he does. Now, let's scale in here and look at what we're going to do here. Now, you have a scale in there. Okay, but that's not a good entry, so we're going to wait until we get a bar that goes higher. Since we're playing up, we want a bar that goes higher than that entry bar, so our actual entry is going to be about right there. We want to open up on a positive or a blue bar. Actually, we could have done it here or here, but those were still below the entry bar. So then we have another entry potentially. These are not all automatic. Right there, when the MACD turns red again. So none of those bars go higher, so your entry bar on this would be probably right there when that bar turns blue, because it actually goes above the entry bar there. And then we have more. Okay. Now, this is another scale in place. So our entry would be right there, right above that red bar. Then we have another scale, lots of scale ins on this one. This is beautiful. Lots of pippies here. Okay, so you have a scale in right there. Now let me tell you, you don't have to take all of the scale ins. That's red. Wait a minute. Jim, there's some noise in the background. Let me turn that down. Excuse me. So this one with the scale in is better, far better than what I was looking at. So there's your, on that bar right there. I angle these, so an angled bar means a scale in, a flat bar means an exit, or an angle bar could mean an entry or scale in. So, but there, and let me put a vertical line on the potential. See, this is a potential setup bar. If it goes back down here, then it wouldn't be a setup bar if the next bar goes down below it. But this is, we mark those potentially. Why did I mark that red? Good Lord, Jim. I don't know what's, I'm thinking of short. I got a couple of short trades open. There, well, that actually turned out that's where it should have been, yeah. I thought that was funny when I was looking. Okay, now we got up. We got another scale in near the top there. Okay. Now, so your entry would be right there. Now, we have a method of telling us that this would be an exit place, and you'll take my word for it now because we're not ready for exits, but I'm just going to tell you that we're going to exit somewhere in just really close to that right there. Let's pull it down a little ways. Say we're going to exit on the red bar right there. Okay, you may, some people may just do a thing. Now, let's go back to the bottom here, and I want to show you right here. We would have what we call a MX, a minor exit or the Mo exit, right there. As soon as it kind of flattens out, and there's one good reason for this, we're going to bank some profit. No matter what happens on this trade, we're going to bank about 50 pips right there. We're going to take a half a unit off the table. We're going to put some money in the bank because in case this would go on back down here, we've already banked 50 pips, but this is just a nice flat place to bank some pips. You could wait till there. Matter of fact, you could bank some more right there. Exit another half a unit, especially in the beginning when you're kind of unsure of what you're doing here in your market, your chart. So we would have, and I'm gonna mark these so you'll get the terminology for the video. We're gonna, oh, if I can find the thing to mark it with. Okay, we've got an MX right there, which means momentum exit. Right there. Okay, here's your entry. Here's your ME, which is your Mo entry. And I'm marking these for you. Okay. What the hell did I do? I lost my Chatsy. I've done that before. Okay. Try again, Jim. Okay. Now we have, right here, we've got an MOE, Mo entry. And the setup bar's there, so this will be above. The Mo entry will be right there. You got an MX. And here you have an SC1. That's scale in number 1. There's you an MX in case you would have MX there. We'll just do that for now to be safe. There's nothing wrong with being fraidy cat, and there's nothing wrong with being safe, because that's my job, is to teach you how to do it. And safety pays around me. But the real money, is, of course, is your scale ins and where you make your future money. Now we also had an SC there, so I'm going to mark it for you. SC2, okay, and then we got an SC3, and we got an SC4. Normally we'll have from 4 to 6 scale ins. Rarely do you have more than 5, but occasionally you do. SC4. If I can count that high, sometimes hard to count to 4. Dadgummit. And then you've got what we call an XXX right there. That means we've exited all entries here. Okay, who's going to help me count? Eusebio or somebody? Okay. Now, okay, so let's go back to the beginning of this. Now, on the first trade, on the first Mo, we exited half of the 2 units, so we exited, and let's say we made 50 pips. It says 57, but let's say we made 50. There's no need to hog it. You still have 1 entry going. Now, on your next one, you have, on your next MX, you have made 70 pips, and you've left 1 on. Now, on your next one, you made, oh, no, the next one's lower than that, about the cheap. Okay, on this one, you made 2 times 162. On the next one, you made 2 times 129. And on the next one, 2 times 96. And on the next one, 2 times 30. And then on the
Jim.
first, huh?
Hi, Jim. It's Chris here. There's sort of some questions popping up about SC2. It seems to appear on a red bar. You've got
on a red
SC2
bar.
and SC3 seem to be, there's an extra scale in there.
You're absolutely right. Let me delete that.
Okay.
Well, if I do, I gotta reset them all, so I'll delete it more than just that. As long as those things are open. I deleted the whole chart once by messing with this. Okay, now. So the SC2, you're absolutely right. That was my error. I meant to correct that. Come on. It's not wanting me to delete it. Yeah, shit. See, I knew I was going to do that. Pardon me. Oh, well, we'll start counting all over again. I'm glad you caught that because I just missed it. Now it's right there. And I'm not intentionally trying to fudge. Sometimes my eyes have been watering all day. My allergies have been bothering. We've had some funny weather here in Oklahoma. Okay, so now let's start over again. To answer the question, you can have as many MXs as you want, but I usually never have more than 2 because, see, the power in the max is the compounding of the scale ends. Once you bank your profit, I got a lot of courage when I got 120 pips in the bank on a move. I mean, good Lord, that's what we're here for. So on the first, well, I actually removed that line, so let's put it back right there. There's your Mo entry. And okay, so on the first Mo, you had 1 pip at 1 at 293, and then you had 1 at 70, I'm sorry. And then on the next one, you had 1 at 70 or 80, and you had 1 at 238. And then the next one, you had 2 times 163. And on the next one, you had 2 times 127. And on the next one, you had 2 times 103. And the next one, you had 2 times 30. Now, let's assume we're all smart enough to add that up. That's why I let Eusebio do it, so I don't have to miss it. That's 1,507 pips. Again, that's a month's trading for a lot of folks, and they'd be lucky to have it, as a matter of fact. Now, see, this would not have been a good Mo entry. You had a setup bars here, but you didn't have any entry bar. And over here, you had an entry bar right there, which would have been okay, but the yellow line wasn't on top. So, oftentimes you do it, but in the basic Mo, we want that yellow line to be on top. Okay. Now let's go back. Does anybody have any question about that I missed? I took my line out of there. Okay, let's put it back in. I'm going to make you a copy of this chart right here. Let me go ahead and do that now before I forget. I'm going to send this out right after the training today. Now if I can figure out how to save as picture. Okay, and this will be the 07. Oops, nope. It's going to be the 07, 0107 GBP JPY 5 minute. Okay, patience. And this is what we like to wait for. If you want to wait for these, I'm going to tell you this right now. There are 25 of these every day among the 9 pairs that we recommend you trade. We don't recommend you trade many hybrids or anything like that. Oh, Christ, I closed out Chatsy again. I can't believe I did that. How do I get Chatsy back at this point? I got to go back into my email. I can't believe I did that. Here it is.
Hi, Jim.
Max 7.
Hello, Jim.
Yes, sir. I got it back.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
There's been some questions about the chart that you've got up there now. In this instance, you've got price cutting up through the moving averages and going above the yellow line. Up till now, it's been below the red line. Can you explain more about that?
Well, that's because I was just starting back here to show you how Max worked on a short trade. Let's go back to the beginning here. I have that.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning. You see, this should have been above the yellow line there, but as long as it's above home base and the momentum line is going this way, you can enter the same here as you would be on a yellow. See, I've got some bingers. You guys can't hear those. Now this one, I just showed you how it would work before I had the home base line on there, but this would still be a momentum trade starting right there. There was your first entry, there was your second, and then on down. So price goes toward the home base line and price goes toward the home base line here. What we're talking about now for the basic max, and this is what I'm trying to get. That's why I went out back here to look for this. This is what we call a basic max. Don't pay any attention to what I showed you before. I just showed you some max. I did that to show you a setup bar and an entry bar and the difference. This is the basic max when the yellow, all three of these lines are in that order, and this line is going up, tilted up. This is your basic max right there. Pay no attention to the other stuff I said as far as the trading aspect of it. I was showing you that to show you a setup bar and an entry bar. Now let's go back up here. Does that clear that up? Is it open, close, medium? Open, close, medium, HL divided by 2. Right, Sue? Okay, now, you got out here. You could have stayed in that, but nobody knows what's going to go on. Now, we have other indicators to help you continue this trade, but I'd be happy with 1,500 pips any day. Now, but you did get a chance to re-enter. And this is what I'm going to show you a re-entry. You had, as long as price goes above the yellow line here and you've got this angle and separation, you can re-enter anytime price is going to go across that. So usually it'd be at the low of that bar. So you would have a re-entry there. Let me mark it, call it just what it is. It's actually a remo, re-entry. Remo. Right there. And then if you look down here, let's see, let's check our distances. Here we are, right there. There's your remo. Then you have a re-entry right there. Let's just put a line there. Yeah, got it the first time. Okay, and then you're going to have another re-entry right there. Okay, on this short little trade here, as long as this is this and you have angled separation here and you go up here, even though you got out a little early, it's not going to make a lot of difference because you're going to actually gain some pips by waiting for it to do a bounce off of the momentum line. So now let's count these. And see, we would have exited right there, and there's a good reason we would have exited about right there, I would say. So the first part of the remo would be 87. Once you could have exited a part of it right here, you could have had an MX here, especially you get 4 or 5 bars sideways. I don't mind exiting some, so you'd have had a re-entry. Then you would, on your re-entry here, you would have had 60 twice, and here on this re-entry you would have 20 twice. Count those up for me. These are SC1 and 2, so you just mark them like you do any other scale ends. Whoops. Then you got SC2, and then you got XXX up there. Oops. So you had a second perfect mow right behind the first one. Any questions about that part? Josephine, let's see. With the re-entry, does it matter how far away the moving averages are from each other? Does the trade now become a greater risk? Yes and no. But as long as home base is going this way, I don't consider it any risk as long as here, because the last trade you're usually going to have a losing trade if you don't get out in time, as you will hear when this flattens out. As long as there's good separation here and this is still moving up and everything's going that way, I'd take a risk on a 2-unit trade right there and just see what happens to it. And you got another 2, and it's a lot of this is dynamic, of course, but the entry rules, the scale-in rules are the same. But so you have to take a mow entry, period. You just have to take it. Otherwise, you're going to miss a good one. And you would have missed, I don't know how many pips would we have missed on that. Did anybody count those? Okay. Yes, I said open, close, median, and HL divided by 2, and then the open and close. No, high and low, not open, close, high and low. High, low, open and close, or median right here in the middle one. So, and over here, here's where you get a problem with your angle separation. If price goes too far away like this, and it angles, your angle is above 35 to 40%, that begins, it's telling you that it's not going to go very far. It could have gone this far real quick, and you still come out at the same place. But this is something you will watch for, that anytime price gets too far above the momentum line. Now, if the momentum line went up like that, it's going to come across that momentum line, and that'll tell you when to get out before it has a chance to go backwards. It may go sideways into the bar. I'll find one of those trades for you. Okay. Now, you're going to get a copy of that chart and a copy of the template and you'll have on the video to study. So now, are there any questions about these 2 particular mow trades? See, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for this. Actually, it's better if it comes off of the home base, and when we go back, I'm sure we're going to find a beautiful up mow right before this one. There's a 1,500 pipper in a matter of how many hours did that take? That took 42 bars, which is 3.5 hours. See? 247. That's not bad. What? I mean, that's all that was? Oh, that small one. That's all. All it was just 247 pips. That took you in about an hour. Maybe just a bit over an hour. That's 12. That's exactly 1 hour, 247 pips. I'll work for that. Okay. And see, if you had have gone, look, we're looking for a short, this was a place to do it, but it didn't manage. And actually, that close to home base, I don't think I would short as long as home base was still at this kind of an angle. We work this angle, and that's why Mother Nature provides it for us. And you returning students, this is slightly different, but it's what we taught in the graduate training here last week. Now let's go back and see what kind of a mow this, oh boy, this made a heck of a mow. Look at this. Now see, this is where your angle went way up. That's about a 45-degree angle. Well, let's see, I don't know whether I can tell what angle it is. Let's see. But that's at least a 45-degree angle right there. When price goes up that much faster than your mow line, you're going to get out on a sideways movement. So even if you waited to way over here to get out, you're not going to lose many pips like on a normal mow, because a normal mow curves down this way, and you'd lose a lot of pips if you waited to exit on the mow line. But here, when it does this, I'm always looking for a place to exit. Now, we have a system that will tell you that this is the place to exit. I can spot them without it now. Or any place along in here, anytime you get sideways trash like that, That's time to take a look at it. See, that pin bar is pointing downward. Well, actually, that would be in the right place. That would be a signal for an up move. But over here, it's pointing downward because that's the way it points. So anyway, we have ways to tell you how to get out here. But right now we're doing moves. So, I mean, we're doing momentum entries. You had to close above. Now you ignore the blue and the red line when home base is involved. The home base and the yellow line are all it really is all that's important here. Although when cross here and cross here, that gives you a better place to scale in and a place to scale in here when these cross. But that's a little more advanced. Right now we're looking for momentum entries. So you've got a close above that, but the next bar's down, so it didn't go higher. Next bar's up, and the next bar, but it didn't close above the home base. So the next one, you could safely enter this trade at the close high, the high close of that blue bar, the setup bar. So your entry bar would be somewhere about right here. It's always, and I will say always, safer. What did I just do? It's always safer to wait until price goes above all three of them, and I will say that. But you could enter somewhere around in here. But your real entries you can enter here. Now look where this one went. I don't know how many pips that is, but let's look at your possible scale ins on this one. And we've got to look for blue bars now. I don't know why I've been looking for red bars all day long. Okay, now you've got another, whoops. And you see, all of this is static. I mean, these rules are static even though they may look dynamic. Okay, now there's your 4 scale ins. Actually, you could have a scale in right here where the blue line crosses. That's another thing that we use. The balance line crosses, and we cross there. You see, we have plenty of potential to scale in. You just have to pick the place. Now, a bar like this, even though it's a positive bar, that's telling you that it's going to go down. The pin is pointing the opposite direction the way price is going here, but it's a blue bar, so it's not telling you it's a bad down. It's telling you that's probably just a pullback. And we only use 4 candlesticks in our max system, and we have a lot of lookalikes on those candles. We're not pinned down to. I call this a doji-like bar. That would be a gravestone pin doji. This would be a hammer pin bar, and where the placement is, this is a pin bar would be pointing up, but this is a pin bar that's telling you price is going to go down. And where it is, you would believe the bar that actually went that way. You'd believe the third bar or the most current bar. Sideways materials like this, there's your pin bar that tells you that it's going to go down. It's a pin bar doji-like bar. So when I say that, don't correct my candlesticks, because I know the candlesticks, but we only use 4 of them, and they're likenesses. You see, this is I call that a doji-like bar, but it's really a hammer-like bar, and that pin being down here tells you it's going to go up. Likely in candle study. Everything's likely to do this or likely to do that. So don't take anything we say with 100% as being 100%. We're talking about odds here. Okay, yes, but price did not go below the big red candle, so no entry. Right. Okay, just before this. But that then goes wrong. Okay, now you see you have the same thing on the short here. Boy, that bar closed way down here, right? So that's your setup bar. So you can't enter any price until it goes below that bar. And I don't like elongated bars to enter after anyway. I want to see what the next bar or two is going to do. But that's another kind of it's a semi-rule. But see, that's obviously no entry, and that's the head fake that Mother Nature gets you to see if you've been sleeping during your instruction time. Okay. The body of what? Todd, the body of that candle has to close below. Right, yeah, so you'd have to have a candle close lower than this bar, the setup bar, before you'd have a trade there. And look at all this trash here. None of them. You got all of these bars here. Look at this. You don't really have an entry bar. You have lots of setup bars. And this is to keep you out of trouble. That's how we learned this, is that I want price to commit itself. Mother Nature will tell you in 80% of the cases what to do. She will tell you if you just listen. And if you don't know what you're looking for, you can't ever find it. That's the problem here. Now look at this, Max. This would actually be a scale in off of something else. There would be your closing bar, your entry bar. But it's going the other way. So for now, we're going to look at that. We're only going to take the trades that are going the direction of Mother Nature's home. They got to be going away from her home right now. We'll teach you the others. Now look how high this is from Mother Nature, and that's fine. But let's go back to the beginning of this little sucker and see how many pips you can ride. And look at this. This is amazing. Wow. Now there's where you would have entered all of this series of trades here. Now this series of trades started on the 2nd of January, and let's just put a mark there. I like to mark charts. I don't mind marking. See, there's your setup bar and there's your entry bar right there. But let's see, January the 2nd, and price stayed above Mother Nature's hideaway for, my God, well, right till it kind of, it went home for a while, and then it's still above Mother Nature's hideaway. So anybody that traded up that time would have been hard to lose money if you didn't have a stop even. And see, it didn't go below that until the 7th of January, which was this morning sometime. And then that was just a very temporary thing. But look, it's still above it. And look at that, where it is right this very minute. So, knowing what these bars and the tendencies, all we're talking about, but look how important that Mother Nature's hideaway is. And believe me, she will stomp all over you if you disobey her. And she's not a mean person at all. She's a loving person. You know that commercial? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. Well, let me tell you, you can't fool her. She's right 100% of the time. I'm keep going back here now. I want to go back to the very beginning. Oh, look at that with such a beautiful mow. Oh, it just makes my heart palpitate when I see good stuff like that. Now let's go back here. Look at that one, and that was the beginning of this thing. Actually, it could have been a little further. Well, actually, just coming off of this. And see, you get into trash like this, you don't have to trade this. Only suckers trade shit like this. But there are guys out there that are trying to make money. Now, this is tradable stuff. Don't misunderstand. But they're suckers for doing it. They get a lot of stress out of stuff like that. That is really, truly spaghetti. Wait till Mother Nature. Look at that head fake there. See the fake out right there? And it wouldn't hurt if you did take the entry right there, because the yellow line's going up. So there would have been your setup bar somewhere, any one of those three bars closing above Mother Nature's hideaway right there. You wouldn't get hurt. And if you were smart, you would have gotten out on about the third or fourth bar there. So the worst thing that could have happened to you, even on a bad trade, you'd make about 30 pips. And it comes back down, and so you had your stop down here below the center line, at least there. Then you get hooked in on this nice, beautiful trade there. Now, this is one of those things where it angled up a little higher than your others. Now, here's a rule. You see, you got a setup bar right there. So your entry bar, and I just used this, was actually right there. So see, it even got you in a couple bars before all this good stuff happened to you. And look at this. We got a doji. We got a doji that's also an inside doji, which is even more important. So there's your exit right there. Mother Nature telegraphed it for you. for those who are smart enough to see it and believe it. That's a hammer light bar. There's a pin light bar. Tells you it's getting ready to go down. Doji, things are getting confused up here. That's what all these things tell you. Things are changing, and it's probably just temporary, the way the angle separation goes here. But the first trade out of the box, even if you did that, and let's say you stayed in, or let's say you got out right there because you got scared, and I would be if I had 4 bars sideways like that. You get a ledge or a little channel like that. I want them to be inside this channel. But just from this right there, 170, 16 bars, that's an hour and a half. No, how many? That's 36 bars, that's 6 hours. 36 bars for 170 pips if you had no scale ends. But see, people waste their leverage. Once you get into a trade and you get out a part of that trade, you do an MX about right here somewhere, even at the top of that bar. You got your perfect scale ends, and we can mark those here. And we got another one way over here. And you got a last one up there. That one probably wouldn't make you any money, but you got a ledge here. And just remember, you don't have to know trend lines or be smarter than the next guy. But once you get a ledge like that and price breaks through that nice ledge there, Joe Ross in his books really discusses ledge because it's a telegraph. And when price breaks above that ledge, there you go. You got another 100 pips right there to the end of what's going to go on. I'd say that's close to 100. No, it's 43 times 2 is 80, 86. So there's your Mo, there's your MX, there's your first scale in, there's your second scale in. Actually comes in with that ledge. So this trade here was worth about 500 pips. Now let's count them. Get your pencil ready, Eusebio. We got one part worth 160, we'll say. And we got a first part worth 60, we'll say. It's actually more than that, but I'd like to round it off. And then we've got where the scale in happened there. So we've got this. It's 107 twice. And this is 40 twice. Then tell us how we did. That's terrible. 514 pips. How many of you have ever made 500 pips on a trade? Anybody out there in the new group now, not the students? Sue, at least you're honest, dear. Sue has the distinction of being the first person to sign up for the Max 7 trading. I can never forget that name. Okay. Positive or negative? I won't ask the negative question there. Anybody that's ever lost 500 pips should not be in this trading. Our losses average, Eusebio published his figures the other day, and he had, I won't take it, but he had his losses averaged 140 pips, which is 2 times 70. And he had about 6% in losses and 94% winners. And if I told you how many pips he made in the last 6 months, it would just astound you. But I'm going to tell you anyway, over 200,000 pips since last August. He's taken every max training since we started it. And he gave up everything that he had learned in the first 25 years he'd been trading, kind of on the average trader. And he's made that much that much money in the last 6 months. So, congratulations to you, Sabi. I bow my head to the master. You have taken over the master's spot. Okay. Oh, let's see here now. It is crazy. And we got a bunch of guys on there making a lot of pips, but Eusebio, it just has a special gift for what we're doing, or maybe you just hit him at the right time. See, you got this little deal here. That's not an entry. See, that's why we developed the setup bar. Gives you an idea that there's which way price is going to go, but it doesn't tell you for sure. And see, it didn't go quite up as high over here. Now, once it goes back up here and goes across there, then the first bar across home base is right there. So there's your setup bar. Actually, it would be that, but I like to make it outside that. So there's your setup bar, and then your entry bar would be right there when price goes above that. There's your entry bar. There would be your first exit there. There would be a perfect place to do your MX on the first red bar. $35, 30 pips, and you can bank that. If all goes to hell, you made 30 pips. And then look where this thing takes you, and let's squeeze it up a bit so you can see it. But see, you'd have been out long before any of that stuff happened. You might have even been in it and been able to take advantage of that. But see, look where this went. And our stuff would have told you when to get out here. And this you've got to look forward to, is all of this. Now look how many scale ends we had here. Good Lord. Could you guys hear that? Incoming mail? Noisy. Okay, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Whoops, what did I do with it? Okay, there it is. Now I don't take them if they're too close together, and I especially don't take them until I figure out where that bar's going, unless I've gotten in before that bar, which according to this I wouldn't. I would wait until there was a pullback after that bar. You wouldn't take that one anyway until price went above that red bar. So even on that scale in there your entry would be about right there. I say about because my wigglers are wiggling. I don't know what it's done to it. Okay. So, but look at the scale ends you have on this one. Okay, just look at that. Just you look at that. And your homework is going to be learning how to do this, how to spot them. Okay, now look at all that. You've got another one here, right there. But there's your exit. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 possible scale ends. And you don't take them all. I like to wait kind of until there's a pullback after a scale in. It just depends on what price looks like. There's no law that says you have to take them all. Once I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 scale ends like this, I'm in pretty good shape. I'll wait until I get a nice pullback and maybe take a 2-unit job here and a 2-unit job there on the pullback, see. Because that's what makes you the money, is getting in at the proper time and getting out at the proper time. That's actually more important than where you exit than where you enter, because if you exit down here, let's suppose you let this ride. Well, it doesn't like me. Come on. Why won't it? Well, what on earth? Well, let me just draw another line. I'll stop that business. But let's suppose you waited to here to get out, sit up there. Now that's 45 pips times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 450 pips times 2 is 900 pips of that move you would give back. See, so where you get out with our system is every bit as important as where you enter, and in most cases more important. Now, why won't it let me fix those things? Okay, well, I lost one of them. Okay, any questions about that? Yes, Vincent, that's true, and that's a really good question. Let me illustrate that for you here. Let's suppose that I'm working on a $2,000 account and I want to trade dollar pippies. So 2 units would be $100 margin out of my 2,000, so that'd be about 5% of my account. And that's what we're looking at. If you're trading a small account, you have to trade a little bit more. But let's say you allow yourself 5%. Now, okay, so I entered here. I entered right there. I banked 30 pips there, so that's only $30. But I've still got one going. So by the time I have my first scale in here, I've banked 51 pips, enough to cover the margin on 1 unit or half a unit. And up here, by the time I get there, I've got 100 pips. I've got 100 pips banked. So I'm actually taking risk and parlaying the money that I've already made on these first 2 or 3 trades. So you may wind up with 5 or 7% in a trade of your poke, so to speak. But that way you're going to have to work that out for yourself. But I don't mind taking 5 to 8%, especially if you've got a small account of 2,000 or 5. I've got a lady, I won't mention her name, but she's, well, I will. Her name's Perky Lynn, and she's older, about my age, and she took a $500 account and has already run it into Cynthia. How much was it? It was about 2,000 or 3,000 that she's run it into. Cynthia, are you there? She told me, but I forgot the exact figure, and I don't want to lie about it. But she's doubled or tripled the account in just a few months, and she was trading penny pips. Cynthia, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. There are several pullbacks. How can you determine which one? Well, I don't determine which one. If a pullback is a pullback. If I've had a scale in notice here, that's a pullback. If I've had a scale in notice there, that's a nice pullback. If see this is on a pullback, and so a pullback is simply a pullback. Now the way you can usually tell and a pullback, look, see this is a ledge that's built up there. And when it crosses that, that shows the price is going to go back up. See, these are ledges. But even if you didn't know what a ledge was, which I'm teaching you now, that's the place that you want to enter. Now, you didn't get the notice that this was a scale in until this bar had already gone way up here, so you got to wait for the next bus. And you don't have to get on the bus if you don't want to. That's the nice thing about the way we do it. Look here, you had a scale in right here. Potential right there after you took off. Now by the time that gets up to here, you've covered the margin on 1, 2, 3, 4 contracts. Of these contracts right here, that margin is covered. So you're actually not dipping into more than 5% of your account.
Hi, Jim.
Yes.
How do you tell the difference? The question went on, how do you tell the difference between a pullback and an exit? The XXX at the top.
Well, they're okay. Well, that's advanced, and we're not into that today. I'm just telling you that we have a way that will tell you that this is the end, or pretty close to it. And like I'm saying, just trust me on this for now. We have it, but I don't want to get too much on the chart. For your homework, what I want you to do, we're going to study max entries and scale ins. We'll teach you how to exit, which I've already shown you. There's some bars up here. You see that little pin? You can't see that very well. Let me move it over. You see that pin bar pointing upward, and it's red. A pin bar pointing upward means the price is going to go down. You got another red bar, and you've got this big up bar with an inside bar right behind it. That's also telling you. But we have a way of doing this. This is just simply take my word for it, because what I want you to learn is how to enter and how to scale in. We'll get you out in plenty of time. You can trust it. I don't want, oh, that's the other thing I meant to tell you. While you're taking this training, I don't want you to do any live training, either demo or money, period. Here's why. I don't want you to go out there and lose a bunch of trades and then blame it on the max. I want you to have a clean damper and dauber when you go into trading when I tell you to in about 5 sessions. I want you to be prepared to do battle, because that's what this is. It's battle. I will turn your AK-47 over to you after I've given you instructions on how to use it. Now that's a rule. So I don't want to hear anybody about doing this or any of that. I want you to do exactly what the training demands, or what Mother Nature demands. So that way, no demo trading and no live trading, period. And if you do, you're just cheating yourself, because I don't want you to go off half-cocked. Okay. So trust me, we'll get you out in time somewhere pretty near the top. You may not quite make it exactly, but there's where your exit would be, and there's where the scale in would be, and this little old thing right here, what did we figure a while ago? How much money? 247 pips once, and about 35 pips there. So there's 300 pips if you just did the 2 units and wrote, just didn't do any scale ins at all. There's a scale in right there, which actually would actually come at the top of that bar right there before that long bar did it. And then there's the scale in here, probably at that bar. So let's count these up. Who's got the pencil? Cynthia, is your mom on here? Where did she go? Are you still there? Or maybe she can't hear me. Okay. So you got 247 and you got 30, so this first scale in here would be worth at least 2 times 226. Now, even if you took one out, we'll count that. Then you got another scale in here is 2 times 188. 2 times 165. 2 times 140. 2 times 110. 2 times 90. 2 times 50. Actually, there's one more there we didn't even take. Let's add that in. Right there. About right there. 2 times 70. Anybody tell us? $2,215 pips. Okay, guys, that's your basic max, and that's what we're looking for, and that's what I want to see in your training that I'm going to give you here in a minute. The way you're going to learn how to do this, I want you to go get some charts. I want you to find some really good maxes like this, coming off of home base and this, after a spell of this, and I want you to mark them up. Make a picture of them. You go to File, Save as Picture, save the picture, and then you're going to file your homework, and then we're going to grade it. Everybody's going to do homework. And let me tell you this, if you don't do the homework, you're pissing off your money by taking this training. I've had 4 or 5 people. I've only had 3 people actually ever gripe about the training. And, of course, you're going to have 1 in every training no matter what. But the other 2, I went back and checked, and neither one of them did any homework. Not 1 ounce, period. One of the guys was on the Forex Truth that we had some bad conversations with, and he didn't do one iota of homework. And I never asked for his money back. He wouldn't get it anyway. But the point is that you have no room to gripe if you don't do the work. It's your money, and I'm going to make damn sure you get your money's worth in this training. But you got to do the homework. If you don't, I don't check to see if everybody does homework. That'd be easy enough, but it's too much work. Not for $395 a month. So it's not worth it. You guys have to own this training, and you own the max. And when you get through, you will own the max. And it may take you a few months or 2 or 3 months, and take the training a couple, 3 times before you actually get how strong the concept is. Anybody can put a bunch of moving averages on the chart and tell you it's a good deal for you. Well, I'm not telling you, because I want you to own the training. The only way you're going to own it is to do the work. Now let's go back here and find a nice short trade, because it looks like we're going to go back to where price comes off of the home base there. So let's go back to the originator of that. Now look at that. Could that be any stronger? You've got home base. Mother Nature is sending out her troops after the dummy's money. So, and she'll get most of it, is the way it works. And see, you've got a head fake here. Look at all that mess right there. You got a head fake. You probably would have a losing entry there. And maybe though, but if you've had this, the chances are you're not going to take this. You're going to watch this real close and see as long as it gets around here. And you would have had an entry. You would have had a short entry somewhere along in here. And if you got out, the worst thing you would have done is made 40, 50, 60, 80 pips. And when price goes back in there, even if you got in here, you would still make a few pips. Even if you exited here, you're not going to get hurt. So that's the way, if you obey the setup bar and entry bar rule. Where's Josephine? What question was that? Okay. For a short trade, we need one setup bar and one entry bar to close below the setup bar and enter the trade when price breaks the low of the entry bar. Absolutely. That's it, Josephine. You got it. Now you come over here. Here's your entry. Mother Nature's sending this out. You got a setup bar right there, the red one. And look right behind it. You got a blue bar. And then look what happens right behind it. A lot of people would get Freddy Cat there and get out. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't worry about being afraid. And then it comes back and goes down. Oh, man, hot dog. And then it goes right back up against you. And she's going to test your stop there. I don't know whether you can see that pin on that bar. Let's enlarge it. You see, she's going to send it back up there just almost to the outside bar. So if your stop was placed right, as it should be, when you enter there, let's see how many pips was that. And you entered right there, so your stop would be, God, that's only 26 pips, you know. Actually, if you went to that bar, probably, if I find one that's only 26 pips, I'm going to move it up just to make sure I don't get it. So I'd say 30, 35 pips. 70 pips would be the most you could risk on that trade. But look what's coming here. Look what Mother Nature's doing for us. You enter there. You do an MX right there for half of it. Then you've got scale ins forever. There's a scale in. There's a scale in. There's a scale in. There's a scale in. Look at these potential scale in. I'm not saying they're all scale in, they're potentials. Nothing's for certain. But just look at how beautiful this gets the nearer you get to the bottom. Whoops. There's a bottom one. See how that's flattening out there? Now let's we don't need to squeeze this up. When price starts bouncing off of this thing and riding it like that, that's telling me that it should tell you that something's going on here. We don't need this stuff because you've got a lot of closes all within a few pips of that line right there.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, we're on. You're right. I'm on the blue candles.
Yep. Okay.
Oh boy, there's the red. That's on a red one. That's on a blue one. Okay, I'll just move a little sucker over, and I'll delete this one. I'll just move it over. Well, it's just a matter of moving them over to the proper place, isn't it? Thank you. There we go. Whoops. Okay, so anyway, when you get in sideways stuff like that, even if I haven't gotten out with some of these or along in here, this would definitely put me out of the trade when it hits for that bar going sideways. But let's go back here, and there's a red one, and there's another red one actually. This one should be there. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, now let's look at this first scale in down here in the red bar. You've got a nice ledge, a double ledge really, a ledge that formed this way. So you would wait for this first scale in here to drop below that bar just to make sure. And you would trade somewhere in that bar. Now, dang it. Okay, so then you come down, you have a scale in here, so you would wait till price dropped below that bar, which would be somewhere about right there. And then on the next one, which comes down, is way down here, you got a perfect entry right there behind that. Then you got to, see this nice ledge here to tell you on that scale in where to enter right there. And even though that one doesn't make you a lot of money if you exited where I drew the line there, you would exit till about right here. It's still going to make you 20 pips twice. Let's count the other one. This one's going to make you a little less. Let's just say it breaks even. It's 9 pips. But see, you don't lose many with this system. That's 47 pips twice. That's 83 pips twice. There's from your exit. There's from your entry. That's 101 pips twice, or once. And then from here to here is 25 pips once. So I don't know what it figures up, maybe 300 pips. If anybody counted. Do you set stop losses on? Absolutely. Stop losses on every entry. Is there a formula for that? Stephen, I've told you 3 or 4 times where you put your stops. I've shown you right here there is a formula, and the formula is that you want to set your stop above, a few pips above the nearest swing bar. Actually, it would be up in here, but since it's come down and done this, in here, your stop would be above those 2 swings right there. So that would be about where I actually set the bar would be about, well, that's the wrong thing. Don't need that. Oh, God, I did do that. Okay, your stop's going to be somewhere about right here. You're just going to have to judge that a minimum of 30 pips and maybe a maximum of 70 or 80 pips, depending on where it was. So with your entry about right here, this stop would be 20. Right there is only 25 pips because your entry was about right there. So, and I realize that's a problem. If you can't risk 70 pips times 2, then you only trade 1 unit. You trade 1 unit instead of 2 units. That's all I can tell you. But we're not worried about trading, and we're not worried about units and pips and all that crap right now. What we're teaching you is scale-ins and entries, mows and entries. Okay. Or between mow line and balance line. At least, it's got to be at least over the mow line. Oh, always. No matter what you do, it's got to be above the mow line. And usually if it's near home base, I want it above the home base stuff. So, what you're doing here, chances are you're not going to need it, but those brokers like to spike people. And sometimes they can do just a real little spike like this one right here, and they could take a bunch of people out that maybe got in over here, see, maybe did a lot of things. So you just want to make sure that you give the trade room to breathe. And let me tell you this before we go any further. If I got stopped out on this trade right here, let's say I put the stop here below that where that pin bar took me out, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump right back in on that son of a gun when it goes below this stuff because this is telling me that it's still going to go down. I'm going to jump right back in and have some more. And I'm going to probably wait for this. I wouldn't exit here. I would wait for what's going on here. I'm going to jump in over there again. Because you are going to get stopped out, but you got to remember it's okay to get back up on the horse. That's why I don't want you to go out and lose a bunch of trades in the next week or 2 or 3 and get your damper down. Okay. Some pairs requires more room in the stop. Yes. Max. On scale in stops, also above or below swing or fractals. Well, we don't use fractals. I mean, we could. That's I don't like to wait for a fractal to form. In other words, I couldn't take a trade here because the fractal is down here. See, the nearest fractal to this is that area. So I would be giving up 2 times 13 or 26 pips, or 33. 2 times 33 pips is 66 pips. That's why I don't wait for the fractals. Look where the fractal is down here. You couldn't re-enter any ledges or anything after this. So see, there's a ledge here, and even though with a nice ledge like that, I might not even wait for the close of that. I mean, I might not even wait for that bar. I might go ahead and enter here. You don't, but these are just things I'm showing you that there are ways you can multiply your effectiveness. See, you're only one person. And you don't want to risk 10 or 20 units all at one crack. Now, if you had a $100,000 account, depending on your size, but money has a relative value to everybody. And well, Cynthia never did answer my question. But anyway, I think Lynn ran her $500 account into about $3,000 over a period of time, playing penny pips. And if I'm wrong about that, I will apologize, but I'll get the exact figure next time I talk to her. I figured she'd be in on this training this time. So, there we are. You see, look at all this stuff here. Now, there you might have a loser. If you entered short on this, if you enter right there, this is your setup bar, this is your entry bar. The stuff over here, no entry there. That's what I see. You didn't get a setup bar on any of this crap. So, but you did get one there, and it goes right back up. Now, let's see where your stop would have been to keep from getting stopped out. So, let's draw a line right up there. And let's see how far away your stop would have been to keep you in a trade. 34 pips. 35 plus spread, so you're talking about 40 pips. You're not talking about a lot of money. The way we trade, your stops don't have to be much. And then you look at your ledge here, coming off of there, and then you get a setup here, and then it goes back against you. Mother Nature will test you, test your faith, whatever you want to call it, every chance she gets. You've got to believe in Mother Nature. So you look at these little ledges that are building up around here. And if you aren't in here, you can't get this. Look at your opportunities there to do it. But it all depends. Now, see, if you got stopped out here, you can wait and you can get in up here on the next one. Or get in here somewhere on the next one after it comes off of home base. So there's lots of opportunities. Look, a ledge there and a ledge there. And please let me convince you to mark up your charts. Why do you think we have these drawing tools? I have people turn in charts and they just don't want to mark them. Either they're too lazy or don't know how, and we can correct both of those. But the point is, that's what these are for. When you see something forming like this, I mean, I might draw this line all the way over here because you don't know where the ledge is going to end. But when price goes below that ledge, it's pretty lead pipe cinch that it's going to go down, especially with Mother Nature's house doing this. And see, look at this. This built a ledge right there, coming off of the Moenola. My goodness, what am I getting incoming mails for? I think that's one of the trading programs. Okay, let's see. On the bar close of the setup bar, aren't we then waiting for the price to break that entry bar. Now, wait a minute. That question, I'm not sure I understand the question. If you have a setup bar, the first bar, let's pretend that none of this stuff existed. If you had a setup bar coming out of all of this stuff here, there's your setup bar right there. There is your entry bar. If you wait until the entry bar closes, you want to enter, and this is sometimes difficult. Your entry is when this bar goes below the setup bar. Actually, it wasn't a long enough bar; it would have kept you out of trouble. But the point is, it wouldn't have hurt you. You were still in the trade, and whether you got in here or over here, the chances are you'd have had a difficult time getting in here. There's your setup bar right there, that little bar that closed below everything. And so your entry bar would have been on that red bar there. See, it would have been when price goes below the entry bar. You can wait for that set entry bar to close, which you probably should do. It'll keep you out of a lot of trouble if you do. Otherwise, but if this was your setup bar here, you couldn't enter until that bar closed. So that's not the rule. And if I told you that, I would like to see it close, but when you're in trash like this, sometimes it's better to wait for it to close, especially after you've seen it do this 3 or 4 times, and you had a setup bar here, and you waited for this to close to enter. You would have been better off, obviously, not to enter on this setup bar. But so I usually enter there. That's a hard and fast rule I can't make, because this is the setup bar. You've got an entry bar there. An entry bar price goes below that. I'll usually jump in here, and I'd have had a loser there. But if you want to wait, especially when you get into garbage like this, it's better to wait and see where that next bar, entry bar goes. Hope I made that clear. See, you got a setup bar there, and it went up the next bar. So that's not there's a setup bar there. There would have been a total entry. Either way you do it. So would you be better off entering up here or entering down here? Excuse me. If it goes against you and you entered here instead of there, you got a better chance on your stop than you do have if you enter down here with a 40-pip stop or ended up here with a 40-pip. Hold on, I got to get something to drink. Excuse me. Setup and entry bars are probably the most difficult thing to master, but you usually, situations like this, see, this is going down. So I'm going to enter when that bar, the entry bar, goes below that bar. Sometimes you can't even catch it because it's already gone way past that. So if it's gone too far down, I'm going to wait, because I don't like to enter after a long bar. This is a long bar. A long bar is just, you can tell in reference to the other bars. Okay. So you got a setup bar there, and you got an entry bar right there. Well, if you take it, either one of them, you're not going to be in too bad a shape. But look at this pin bar. See, that took out all the stops, no matter where you enter over here. And as the training goes along, we'll make this more clear. But the rules are, you want to wait in the beginning, your max trades. You don't want to take a max going up this way when everything's down here. Why would you want to do that? See, wouldn't even make good sense, because everything is pointing downward. And look here, when you get into trash like that, the law is discretion is the better part of valor. That's why we have patience on this chart. You don't have to be in a trade. Why wouldn't you wait for something you can see the angle and separation coming down through here, coming right down through Mother Nature's home? And any one of these bars is going to make you money here. There's your setup bar, and there's your entry bar. Or there, if you want to wait, there's your setup bar and an entry bar. That one closed up. So any one of these is going to make you money. even if it does go back up there, because you set your stop back up here, and that's only, from either place, that's only 22, so I wouldn't even set my stop there. I'm going to set it at least, I wish this thing would click better. My clicker just doesn't want to do this. Hans, I'm not sure what your question is. Ask your question. It is the close of the entry, the close of the setup bar that determines the entry. Your entry, as I've drawn right there, would be when this bar goes below the setup bar. But with all of this garbage going in here, why would I want to take a trade? I'm going to wait until I see something like this. And here, there would have been an entry place, but this bar was a setup bar, but no entry bar. The entry bar is way down here. And I'm not going to take an entry that after all this spaghetti. See, this is just something you learn. Although, by rule, this would be the setup bar, but you've got this bar between the setup bar, so the situation changes. You have to pay attention to what's going on here. And over here you get the same setup, and this one turned into a trade. I'm still not sure I understood your question. It's a general question about when to enter, as several others. Okay. I'm going to say this again. Setup bar, entry bar, bad entry bar. After a blue bar in between, bad entry bar. Sometimes it's best to wait until a bar like that closes. If it's a long bar, I'm going to wait and see what the next bar does, which it did. So chances are there's not going to be an entry here. Here you have a setup bar and an entry bar right there. An entry bar, yes, you have that. Although you've got a lot of spaghetti in here, so why would you take an entry with spaghetti? Why would you take it? So while you technically you have an entry, you don't. Over here you have a different situation. Setup bar, entry bar. Those are beginning to separate. You might not even want to take that one. You might want to wait for the first pullback, which is right here. There's a setup. And look, the rule is if there's any doubt in your mind about a trade, don't enter it. Any doubt at all. I don't care what it is. You may miss some good trades, but you'll miss a lot of bad trades. The only way you're going to learn to enter them is to watch what happens when you get an entry, setup bar and an entry bar. Even if you entered here, you would still be okay. You wouldn't like it, and the chances are you may get out when it comes back near the center of home base. This is kind of my rule of thumb. Why should I give up another 30 pips if I think it's the possibility of doing this? But there's no hard and fast rule. It's a visual effect that we're looking at. Even if you entered here, but with all this spaghetti going on, why would I even think about entering a trade? I want to wait, and I might even wait until right here where I do have some angle and separation in conjunction with home base, because the odds on this are 5 times better than the odds of this. I mean, you can see that. And the only way I learned that is by studying charts. That's why you're going to study a lot of charts this next week. Well, element of subjectivity is the visual element. The rule is, if you want to take a lot of small losses and mess around with... See, spaghetti abandons the rules. In spaghetti, the rule is don't trade it. So there's no subjectivity to that. You know what spaghetti is? No subjectivity. The basic rule is setup bar, entry bar right there. Went lower than that bar. Then, if everything up here looks good, it's a go. If not, this cancels that. This is your next situation. You got a bar there. You got the bar actually closed below that, even though it was up. So I'm going to have to look at the next bar anyway. So the next bar is a down bar. So somewhere in this bar here with the angle and separation here, I'm going to give that a shot because this counts and that counts. So you can't go on the bars alone. That's why we have these pictures here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be upset with you, and I know it's not clear, or you wouldn't be asking questions. But nothing tells you you have to trade when you got garbage like this. This is where traders lose money. Okay, let's go back a little ways here. Okay, here's one coming out. Coming out this way. You've got a flat situation here. You've got spaghetti below here. So why would I want to trade this when this situation here, when this is down here? Now, when this starts coming out and this gets some angle and separation, this gives me an opportunity to evaluate what's going on here. And the first setup bar, after there's some angle and separation between this, is, where is it? Right here. Starting right about right there. There would be could be a setup bar, this, or this. But this is a setup bar, but it's not an entry bar. Setup, any of these could be a setup bar. But your first setup bar, when you get some stuff like this area here, once you get out of the spaghetti, is this area here. And you're going to have to make a judgment based on what happens here. And it's built a little ledge there. You got angle and separation. You got the red crossing the blue. That gives you a setup bar that makes some sense. And even if it comes back like this, your entry bar in this situation would be at the bottom of that bar. And there's no subjectivity about it, because that's really the first tradable bar after you get some angle and separation and prices. Everything's crossed the three lines here with the momentum bar on top toward the trade. Yes. I know you're trying to grasp it, and I understand it's difficult in the beginning. That's why I don't put all the other stuff on the chart that's going to make this easier for you. It's 5 o'clock now. I just want you to review this video, review the question. You see, you've got a lot of trades here, which, might be good trades. I mean, you can see them now because you can see the answer. If you took this trade right here, you'd make a few pips, a lot of garbage. With garbage, this is going against you. It doesn't straighten out till you get over here. You could have a trade here, and it's not going to do anything. You're trading in garbage. Why mess with Mother Nature's house? Wait until she throws it out and throws it your way. See, this one just happened to come right through there. This doesn't down, so when you have a situation like this, price has already gone through here. The yellow bar is not going the right direction above these, so here would be your first, somewhere after that would be your first trading opportunity. Now with the offset, you will see these things out here before price gets here. So the offset will show you that in a minute. And so your best entry here, after all this, you got a dot, and you're going sideways. You're not going to do anything until that ledge breaks. Price breaks that ledge, even though, and those have crossed, that is crossed, so you got an angle of separation. So, but this can still go against you. Likely not, but if you've got a ledge here, you wait till it breaks the ledge. And the worst thing you're going to do is lose a few pips. If you get in right there when it breaks that ledge, your stop would have to be right there above that pin bar. But that pin bar is telling you it's going to go down. I'm sorry. The pin part's pointing up, so it's telling you it's going to go down. So how many pips were we looking at here for the stop? 35 pips, 70 pips. I don't know what's tickling my throat today. It's because I've been talking for 2 hours, I guess. All right. So this was a viable trade because you had some angle and separation the minute price crossed through here, because these are out, these bars are offset here. So you made a little trade. You didn't make a lot of money on it, but you made a little trade. And when it comes down here and starts going through crap like this, you can exit. You don't have to take it because this makes a turn there. And you can see what's going on here with this traffic that I call that. Even though you have angle and separation, it's going sideways. Hold on. I got a tickle in my throat that just won't go away. Okay, so even if you did this, you're going to make a few pips if you follow the sensible rule. What's that? Only 23 pips, but that's better than nothing. So the point is, you want to wait until price is showing you what about the home base effort here. I mean, nobody in their right mind would trade a short this close to home base because you don't know whether it's going to bounce right back in there. Eusebio had a trade on the Dow yesterday, or was it Barbara? Anyway, it bounced right off a home base, just bounced perfectly right off a home base, and it was 700 pips in about 30, 40 minutes. But so that's the reason you don't take these until you get some Mother Nature gives you a signal about the trade. Look at this bouncing right off. This is the home base line, the center line. Look at that. And if you think I'd trade in that mess, you're nuts. That's what I'm trying to teach you not to do. And these three lines will give you a lot of information about it, about how to do it. Now, I haven't added this before. I was going to add it earlier, but I got the questions on the entries. I'm going to take a few minutes extra today, and I'm going to add another indicator which will help you straighten this out. And I've got some new settings for it. Thank one of my students for playing with this enough to give me the new settings. Now if I can find the indicator. Well, there it is right there. It's the SRO, Stochastics RSI Oscillator. And I'm going to use her settings for this training, let you all play with it. Now, this is the SRO, the Stochastic RSI, Stochastic RSI Oscillator. And this will help you pick those scale ends and stuff. When it's up, it's oversold above the 80 line, and when it's below the 20 line, it's overbought. I mean, it's oversold and it's overbought up here. Okay, so now let's go and let's put this to use. Well, let's go back to those trades we made. The trade that we made, the long one that I took the picture of, and we'll put it on the chart and give you an idea of how this thing works. Let's go back to the center of this. You see, in a perfect world, we could just spot this real easy. Now, I want to give you the basic rule first. The SRO will normally be against you on your max entry. It will already have done its climb before price. This is an, excuse me, the AWAC system, the early warning, EWS, early warning system, telling you that it's going to go up. Now, you had some divergence here. We're not going to talk about divergence today. If you don't know what it is, that's going to be for the next one. But see, this is divergence telling you that this should go up from here. But your max entry is when that yellow line is equal to or better, higher than that for a long entry. So this will normally, on your entries, will be overbought right here when you enter. And if it's not, there's something that's normally not a good entry here, because you can see most of the time when it's down here, the mow line is somewhere else. But look on the scale end, see? This, it bounces up, and this, it's up, it's still headed up on those three scale ends. It's come down, and it bounced up again. And here, on your, now this is iconically, the mow entry right here shows this to be a perfect place, but this is after a period of movement with the angle and separation. Now, I just want you to play with this. This is nothing to do. This is telling you what the trend, how the trend is hanging. And when it goes up here, it's going to go up a bit there. When it's over here, sideways, it's telling you it's going to go down. So I'm just going to leave it on the chart template that I send you. Just use that. But what we're going to do, here's the homework. We're going to start back at the beginning. Whoops. The end of the chart. This is the very beginning of that chart, so I can't cheat. I want to show you what we do here. We've got a max coming up. Now, in the beginning, obviously, with all these things, indicators not set, I'm going to wait till I see some movement on there. So price is crossing up here. Gives us our first notice that something's going on. This is already going up to the center, to the zero line. Across the zero line, here's a W. Those are things that you come in the next lesson. But now when you see the angle here, which you will see the angle of that, you're looking about like this. This is going to be out here, so you will see these things come alive. That's the reason for the offset. So here you've got a setup bar and an entry bar right there. And take my word for it. Now you'll be able to see the answer before it occurs, but you've got an exit, an MX somewhere, either this one or this one. And then I want you to draw your vertical lines on the chart. This is going to take you an hour or so to do all this. Let's get over to the next, right there. There you go. And then you'll draw your scale ends on the chart. You're going to you don't have to do anything with this stuff. But see, this just happened to be a good one, and it's just when the chart opened. I didn't pick a special spot for it to happen. Yeah, let's see where all this business is going. Okay, now look how long this one is. And you're going to pick one you like, and then you're actually going to write on it the terms that we've discussed here. SC1, SC2, MX, MOE, REMO, all of those terms. Now see, you're going to know, whoops, what did I do there? Well, I didn't have one there, so I'll just get rid of that. Okay. So just exit where it looks like there should be an exit. We didn't have one. No, we had a long way between those two, see? Okay. So you've got a MO entry. You've got an MX maybe, MX or MX, and whatever you think. And then you've got your scale ends, and you can mark where your entries would be on your scale ends, be above the bar that scale end is, above that bar, above that bar, above that bar, above that bar, and exit. And this is just to get you looking. Look at this, though. See, look at that coming off of that ledge there. You got a scale in. Actually, even if you waited for this first pullback, which is the absolute safest entry in the MO, this entry right here, after you get this, you've had it, the crossover here, and it's gone up, and then it's got that first pullback, and it always, almost always, pulls back here to where you've got the safest entry in the max program is right there on any chart that you'll look at. But what you're going to do is go back to the end of the chart, and you're going to do what we call chart scroll. Now from this, you're going to just scroll through here. If you wanted to make a picture out of this, then you would mark this MX, SC1, SC, whatever, and why you did it, and then I can see how much of the video and how much of the stuff that you've learned today. But this is what you're looking for. We're looking for perfect mows. And if you start messing with perfect mows, you won't ever try anything else. Now see, look at that. Look at this bounce right off of home base. Now that's another trade that we teach you, but it's not part of the mow entry. There's your mow entry right there. See? Because this is going this way, and the mow crossed the yellow line, crossed all of that spaghetti and all that stuff back there. Look at that. You can't have it better. This one was not, because the yellow line is not above those two lines. In a perfect mow, now, we can trade this, but this is not what we're after. We're after only perfect mows. The patience to develop a perfect mow. And see, when it comes back down and goes down through here, this is partially tradable by us, but look what happens here. You get a perfect mow going the other way. You had, actually, you even had some setup bars back here. There was a setup bar you could have entered there, but it didn't turn out to be perfect, but it could have. See, it goes on down here. But if you set your stop up here above those series of bars right there, even if it wasn't perfect, you get a chance to re-enter on the perfect, and you're already in it. See, there's your another re-entry right there, because everything is under that yellow momentum line, and it's already passing home base. You got another entry right here, and then you mark with your vertical lines all of these potentials. There's a red one. Let's find another red one right there. You just mark them. We even had a way to make that easier for you, but not until you learn what you're looking for. And then when you learn what you're looking for, we save a lot of legwork, see? But look, and then you got an exit down here. And just since you know the answer, there's no sense in teaching you the exits now. Well, what we want you to look for is perfect mows. Even a bad mow, a little mow like that's going to make you a couple of hundred pips. Whoops. A couple of hundred pips. 141 pips twice, plus. And we're just going to teach, see, look at there, perfect mow coming off of that. Everything is under that yellow line, perfect mow right there. If you review this video 2 or 3 times, look at this nice ledge pullback for a remow here. If you did get out here, you remow here, or it's just a scale in. And there's lots of opportunities to get out. You have lots of sideways movements there. Look, and now it's going up here. Why do you want to trade? You know, you don't have to trade stuff like that until you really get experience with the program. See, your mow doesn't happen until this crosses here. All of this stuff is fine, but your mow only happens right there. And it doesn't go very far, but it was a perfect entry. You can't get a much better entry than that. Now going across here, you probably would have an entry somewhere about right there. See, this with the offsets, and you get a double bar like that. That's an outside bar. That tells you something really important. Get the hell out. Your next bar is red, so you would probably be out about right there. So now let's look coming down. Looky. Coming right after that, you got another perfect mow. There's your perfect entry. Comes back on that first pullback, even though you had a setup bar here, but the yellow bar wasn't placed properly. Wait till the yellow bar crosses these other two. So anytime after that, you look for a setup and an entry bar, which happens right there. The best setup bar. Then look what happens here. Look at all this. So we're just looking for, and see, look here, there's a remow or a scale in. When price touches that and comes off of it, now you're going back the other direction. Patience. Actually, that would be it would be an entry. You would have a mow. Whoops. When all of this exists, then this would be your entry. There's your close, and then your next bar above that would be right there on that bar. Shoot them up there. And you can see right here, you got a pin bar pointing up, red bar that tells you it's going down. Sure enough, what happens? It goes down. And this, you actually wouldn't have a mow entry here because you got all this garbage here going the wrong way. Then look here, it spreads out right there, and there you have a perfect mow entry right there on that, after that ledge. And then you've got your exits. So we're looking for perfect mow entries. Now if you want to run the video side by side with your trading platform, look at this. This comes down here, and you would have a perfect entry right here, because everything is below that bar. You've got a setup bar and an entry bar with these that way. Doesn't go very far, but it comes back up there and does it again. There. And then you've got all this stuff down here that would tell you that it's a possible place to look and get out. I got 3 or 4 sideways bars. I'm looking for a place to get out. Then you got a re-entry place right there, because it's touching that yellow bar. You got an exit place down here. There's just lots of ways you can earn 50 to 150 pips in just no time at all. The price goes off and bounces off of that, comes back down here. Now there's an entry. It's not going to make you anything, or you might even lose a little bit if you're not careful. Your entry would be, well, at the red bar there. That's really not a good place. I probably would pass on that one, but it actually is an entry right there. Why can't I drag that bar? Yeah, there actually is an entry there, although it doesn't do any good. But see, you got a lot of trash there, and things are going. They're not. The angle is not right. The separation is fine. The angle is not right. And this, wait for a perfect mow. Now there are ways to trade some of this stuff, which we're going to teach you. But right now, boy, you can't beat these perfect mows. Even though some of them don't go very far. There's one. They're just all over a chart. And this is the GBP JPY. So anyway, does anybody not understand the homework? I want you to find mows and scale ins, perfect mows and scale ins. You start at the left and you work your way to the right. Pick a pair. I don't care what pair. Here's the pairs we like to trade. The 7 majors, which would be the euro, the pound, euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar CAD, the Australian dollar, and the pound yen, the euro yen, the dollar yen, and what I think I've left one out. But anyway, there's 9 pairs that we like to trade. So you can pick any one of those pairs. It doesn't matter. And my favorite pair for a beginner to trade, let me show you something. And I'm gonna leave this chart. Women, I'll not leave this chart. I'll just pick out another chart to put you on. Is the pound yen. The euro pound. We'll put it on a 15-minute chart. This is absolutely the safest chart to trade. If you look at this stuff, I don't have these lined up right, but it doesn't matter. You can go all the way back on this thing, and I promise you, in a period of whatever, let's see how many bars are in this chart. This goes back through October, November, December, and part of January. I guarantee you'll find 3 to 4 Mo trades every day. You'll just find them there. Now, I don't have the other bars on there. This is just a sample chart. But remember, patience is the key to this. If you don't take a trade, that's no big deal. But since you have the answers, you have no excuses for taking the trade. So that's what this drill is all about, marking them. And I want to know that you can see a perfect Mo. And then if we do homework and you submit one that's not perfect, you want to submit one that looks sort of like this. Of course, it'll have the other home base on it. But you want to pick one that's got a good trend like that. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? And this one is not volatile like the rest of the pairs. You're going to find a whole lot of Mo's, back and front Mo's. Go away, another Mo. So this is the safest pair to trade. the least volatile, and it pays a double pips. It's about a pound, $1.60 per trade. It's twice whatever you see over here on the right. Anyway, there you are. So pick your pair. And even the worst situation usually turns into a mo pretty quick with this pair. And it's very, it's of all the pairs, it's very safe. It's one of my favorites. So, which one were we on? Over here. Yeah, this is where we were. So, pick your pair. I want you to scroll back to the right or left, and I can't make you do this, and you can tell me you did it, and I'll believe you. But I want you to submit. Now, see, take a perfect mo like this for your homework. Mark one like this, because what I want to know is have you got the basis of the terminology. You haven't learned to trade yet, but you're going to get a lot of experience with it. And when you do the tumblers and you mark, this is an up trade, so let's find a place to kick in here. You're going to see what that blue bar is, what the position of this is, how these things look, and where the SRO is.
Hello, Jim.
Call it what?
How many charts do you want each person to submit?
I want you to submit at least 2 homework charts, one long trade and one short trade. Graduates, I only want you to submit one chart because you basically know what we're looking for, but I want you to use the template that we send you. New students, submit two charts. And if I don't like the chart you submit me or the way you marked it up, I may send it back to you and tell me to show me and to do another one. And can you hear those bing? Whew. And that's some trades I need to look at. But scroll back, pick a pair, do it for yourself. You're going to learn so much when you start at the left and scroll to the front and just mark the perfect mows. Now, I can't grade all of those, but I can tell by the one you submit how you did the rest of them. And if you do this 2 or 3 times, I've looked at thousands of charts in the last 20 years, but more particularly in the Forex in the last 3 years since I perfected the max thing. You are going to learn so much about price action when you do this. Look at this. This came out from a perfect mo up here, right on down to another perfect mo. And this is the pound dollar stuff that we didn't even get to today. So is anybody not clear on the homework? You will send all of your charts to the group, to the Max 7 group on Google. If you haven't gotten the information from Craig on how to join that group, you need to send Craig W. a post, or just send me a post and I'll forward it to Craig. Craig's email address. Craig, type out your email address there. That if they haven't gotten on the group yet or have questions about the group, type out your email address on there. Craig@gvtc.com. So there's Craig's email address for you to work with. He has questions. He handles the membership list and the group. Chris handles all the video stuff. And me, I sometimes wonder what I do. So anyway, I hope you had a good time today. I hope it didn't get too tough with anybody. The main thing I want you to do is to write things down, take notes, and review the video. I guess Eusebio has probably looked at every video of all 6 trainings before, probably 3 or 4 times each. And each time you will learn something from it. But look how the SRO follows price action. Look at that. And when it's down below that 20, it's telling you it's going to go up. When it's above that, it tells you it's going to go up. So this is another arrow in your quiver. Now see, over here, if we were in a situation, you could see what this was doing compared to the price action of the latest bar. For instance, here, if we were doing this, that type of entry, you would have this much edge on the thing plus your home base down here. So you'll get a bird's eye view of what your main indicators are doing, your visual indicators are doing. And try different time frames. I could show you a couple of things on my favorite charts. My favorite time frames are the 30-minute and the 4-hour. The 4-hour will make you more money with less stress and less worry than any place you could put your money. If you master the max on the 5-minute chart, you're going to figure out how easy it is to trade the 30-minute or the 4-hour chart. But play with different time frames and put the basic max on there. This is just the basic. The basic rules have not changed. I tweak them a little bit from now on, and I tweak the numbers of the EMAs, but the basic rules of trading it, especially the setup bar and the entry bar, that has not changed. It's not going to change. That's the only way you can protect yourself from choppiness and what we call spaghetti. Okay. And if you have any questions that you don't want the group to know, you can email me direct, or Craig, or Chris, and we will answer them for you. But the way the group learns is when you ask a dumb question, the group gets to see it was a dumb question. And I'm not making, we don't get many dumb questions, don't misunderstand. But if you send it out on the group on the Max 7, everybody will get to see our answer. And so you got 50, 60 people here in the training, and you're going to get to see some questions that, oh, hell, I knew that. Why do you ask that question? Well, that's good. And if you didn't know the answer, then you didn't have to ask that question, because we'll send it back. And if you ask a question, submit a chart and a picture. We cannot read your mind. Okay, any more questions? Ignore my question that has already been asked and answered. Right, see? The chances are they'll be asked and answered someplace on the group. But we can't know what you know until you mark up the charts. Then that way I can look at the chart and I can tell you how far along you're progressing and whether you're doing okay or not. And I don't mind telling you you're not, and I don't mind telling you you are, because this is not a personality contest. This is war, and I'm teaching you about battle. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Kev will not answer you. Vertical bar for every tradable situation. And if I were in doubt right here about if I had a setup bar, a potential setup bar, what I would do, I'd just drop a vertical line right there. 3 bars later says, oh, well, no, I didn't need to do that, so I take the thing off. I delete it. I even do that to this day, because until I did that, I didn't remember sometimes what I was doing and why I was, once I leave the chart, I would forget which one it was, but if one that's got a freshly marked vertical line there, or I'll draw maybe something like this. I'll say, okay, there's a nice ledge forming, so what am I going to do? Or I don't, marking up charts is why we have these beautiful drawing tools. Can you imagine? I worked with end-of-day stuff up until about 5 years ago. I never had any intraday software. I had just at the end of day, and but we didn't have drawing tools like this. See, if I see something like this and it's we're do this, I might say, well, whoops, let's see here. Maybe it's going to go back down, although I wouldn't be trading in a situation like this probably. But we have advanced tools with the Max that will help you trade. There's A, B, and C trades, and we trade the A trades. That's what I call the perfect max. Then the B trades are ones that should be won if you knew how to trade them, and we're going to teach you the A, and B, and keep you away from the C trades. Okay. I'm sorry I kept you guys over. The next meeting is Saturday at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, 1 hour. Submit your homework. I want all homework in here by 4 o'clock Friday afternoon Central Time. I don't want to have to spend Saturday morning grading charts when I'm getting ready for the next program. 4 o'clock Central Time Friday. And when you submit the chart, Eusebio, he reads all of them. And since he's in this group, he will probably help me grade some charts. So don't worry, you'll get answers from maybe several people. 2 charts each from the students and 1 chart from the graduates. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you, Eusebio. Frank, Todd, everybody, I'll get to know your name sooner or later. Now remember, go back and do a bio if you haven't done a bio, and put me a name in there, John Jones or Bill Smith or whatever the heck your name is. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Bye-bye. Watch OU tomorrow night. See ya. I'm out of here.